Thank you for joining our podcast today. I am Mark, your host for this deep dive.
And I am Jay, your expert for today. And I am I'm really excited to get into this topic with you.
It is so great to have you here. And, before we really jump into the thick of it, I just have to say, I brewed this massive, incredibly strong dark roast coffee this morning.
Oh, wow. You really needed the fuel today, huh?
I really did. I was just standing by the window, watching the steam rise off the mug, looking out at this crisp, just absolutely perfect morning weather we were having.
It is gorgeous out there today, yeah.
Right. But while I was looking at the nice weather, I realized I needed all that caffeine just to mentally prepare myself for the social gymnastics of canceling a lunch date later today.
Oh, no. That is always the worst feeling.
It really is. And that friction, that anxiety over how to politely navigate the world without offending anyone, that is exactly what we are exploring today. And it is so good to have you, the listener, here with us as we figure this out.
It really is the perfect starting point, honestly. I went with my standard green tea this morning, but I was having similar thoughts about how much mental energy we expend just trying to sound natural.
Yeah, totally.
Because our mission for this deep dive is ambitious, but it is incredibly rewarding. We are looking at 200 essential English expressions for daily life. But we are not just going to sit here and read you a dictionary.
No, absolutely not. Because if you are listening to this, you likely already know your basic textbook grammar. You know your verb conjugations, right? You know your sentence structure.
Exactly.
So today, we are moving entirely beyond the textbook. We are aiming for something that linguists call pragmatic competence. So let us look under the hood of that phrase. What are we actually talking about when we say pragmatic competence?
Right. So pragmatic competence is, it is essentially the holy grail of language learning. It is not just about knowing what words to say. It is about understanding how and why native speakers use them in real time.
The actual context.
Precisely. It is the social grease that makes communication frictionless. You can perfectly translate a sentence from your native language into English in your head, but if it lacks pragmatic competence, it might sound too aggressive or too formal or just culturally strange to the person you're talking to.
It is the invisible rulebook.
Yes.
It is knowing the difference between, say, I want a coffee and could I get a coffee?
That is a perfect example.
And to make this vast landscape manageable for you, the listener, we are not just going to jump from random phrase to random phrase. We are going to follow the natural progression of how you interact with the world.
Which just makes logical sense.
Right. So first, you have to understand and express your own internal feelings. So we will start with emotions and empathy. Then you have to coordinate your life with others, which leads us to proposals and scheduling.
And then you actually have to see those people.
Exactly. Once you meet up, it is usually over a meal. So we will navigate the highly scripted restaurant and cafe setting. From there, we enter the most high-stakes environment of all, the workplace and business.
Oh, the corporate jargon.
You know it. And finally, when the workday is done, you have to find your way home, bringing us to directions and navigation.
And because this deep dive is specifically engineered for you, the learner, we are incorporating a really practical tool. At the close of each of these 5 thematic sections, we are going to conduct what we call a shadowing round.
Right. And during the shadowing round, I will take 3 or 4 of the most critical phrases we just analyzed. I will pronounce them slowly and clearly and then leave a distinct pause.
Just a few seconds of silence.
Yeah. And in that silence, we want you to repeat the phrase out loud. Speak it to the room. It does not matter if you are on a train, in your kitchen, or walking your dog.
Just go for it.
Exactly. Getting your mouth to physically form the words builds the muscle memory required for that pragmatic competence. We want you to take this slow and steady.
So before we can begin coordinating schedules or, ordering lattes, we have to know how to express what is happening inside our own heads. Let us step into our first situation, emotions and empathy, covering our first block of expressions, numbers 1 through 40.
The thing that immediately stands out to me in the source material is how English it does not settle for basic labels. We do not just walk around saying, I am happy or I am sad. There's this massive spectrum.
Yeah, what you are noticing is a psychological concept called emotional granularity.
Emotional granularity.
Right. This is the human ability to distinguish, label, and articulate highly specific affective states. English has developed a a highly stratified system of metaphors to achieve this granularity.
It is so vivid.
It really is. When we look at these first 20 idioms, they overwhelmingly rely on imagery of elevation, weather, and color to convey the exact intensity of a feeling.
Okay, let us start with the positive spectrum, the idioms of extreme elevation. When someone is experiencing a joy that is almost, transcendent, they do not use a simple adjective. They say, I am over the moon.
It is such a delightful phrase. Its origins actually trace back to 16th century English folklore and the classic nursery rhyme, hey diddle diddle.
Oh, with the cow jumping over the moon.
Exactly. The imagery is intentionally absurd. It symbolizes a state of happiness that is so profound, it feels magical or physically impossible. You are entirely untethered from gravity.
We see that exact same gravitational defiance with the phrase cloud nine.
Yes. Cloud nine is fascinating because it sounds ancient, like something from mythology, but it actually stems from 1950s United States weather terminology.
Wait, really? It was an actual meteorological classification?
Precisely. In the mid-20th century, the U.S. Weather Bureau created a classification system for clouds. Cloud 9 referred to the cumulonimbus cloud, which is the tallest, fluffiest, most towering cloud formation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they can rise up to 40,000 feet in the air. So when an English speaker says they are on cloud 9, they are metaphorically placing themselves at the highest possible atmospheric peak of joy.
But, the moment the emotional weather turns negative, the elevation drops dramatically and the vocabulary completely shifts.
It really does take a dive.
If someone is experiencing a deep, lingering sadness, they might say they are down in the dumps. I mean, I always imagined this meant sitting in a literal garbage dump surrounded by trash, which is undeniably depressing.
I think that is a very common modern interpretation, but the etymology is actually much more poetic than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the phrase dates back to the 1500s. Dumps likely derives from the Dutch word damp,
Dump.
damp, which translates to a thick haze, a fog, or a dullness.
Oh, wow. So you are not sitting in garbage at all. You are trapped in a fog.
Yeah, exactly. Picture a 16th century sailor lost in an impenetrable sea fog, unable to see the horizon, unable to move forward. That feeling of aimless, heavy stagnation is a perfect psychological mirror for depression. You are physically low, down, and mentally trapped in the haze.
That brings us to color, which plays a massive role in English emotional granularity.
Yeah.
To continue with sadness, the most universal phrase is, I feel blue. Our sources point out that this association between the color blue and sorrow goes all the way back to the 1300s.
Yes, it is linked to the historical concept of blue devils. In early medicine and folklore, blue devils were considered malevolent spirits that caused melancholy and despair.
That is pretty dark.
It is. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the phrase having the blue devils was used to describe everything from alcohol withdrawal to severe clinical depression. Over time, it was shortened simply to feeling blue, losing the demonic association but keeping the color of sorrow.
And the color spectrum extends to anger and jealousy too.
Yeah.
Like, if I am furious, I do not just get mad, I see red.
That phrase taps into pure biology. Seeing red refers to a state of anger so intense that your blood pressure spikes, metaphorically and sometimes literally, clouding your vision with blood. It is an expression of animalistic, uncontrollable rage.
And then there's the most famous color metaphor of all. Green with envy. We can thank William Shakespeare for that one, right?
We can, actually. In his play Othello, the manipulative character Iago warns Othello about the dangers of jealousy, calling it the green-eyed monster.
The green-eyed monster.
Right. Shakespeare chose green because, historically, a sickly pale green complexion was associated with an imbalance of the bodily humors, specifically an excess of bile produced by fear or jealousy. It is an unnatural, poisoned hue.
I love how historical layers just stack on top of each other in daily conversation. We have 16th century Dutch fog, Shakespearean monsters, and even the Industrial Revolution makes an appearance. Like, when someone loses their temper suddenly and violently, we say they blow their top.
A perfect product of the 1900s. It refers directly to the advent of steam-powered engines. If a steam engine overheated and the pressure was not released, the physical top lid of the boiler would violently explode.
That is a great visual.
So, to blow your top means you failed to manage your internal emotional pressure, and the result was destructive.
Okay, this is where I have to push back a little, or at least point out a massive contradiction in how we communicate. We have all these vivid, explosive, highly dramatic idioms. But when we look at expressions 21 through 40, which deal with negative affect and complex emotional nuances, words like overwhelmed, anxious, disappointed, ambivalent, vulnerable, mortified, and indifferent, we see English speakers using a totally different
They
strategy.
do.
They stop being explosive and they start doing something called hedging. Walk me through the logic of hedging.
So hedging is a sociolinguistic tool used to soften the impact of a statement. It is the use of mitigating words. Instead of walking into a room and declaring, "I am terribly depressed," a native English speaker is far more likely to hedge by saying, "I'm feeling a bit blue today," or "I am kind of overwhelmed right now."
Right.
They insert words like a bit, kind of, sort of, a little, or rather.
But why? I mean, if you are overwhelmed, why not just own it? Why dilute the emotion with kind of?
Yeah.
Does that not defeat the purpose of expressing yourself?
It is entirely about maintaining social harmony and protecting the listener. Think of hedging as a social shock absorber. Absolute statements of severe distress can feel like a sudden, heavy burden placed onto the person listening.
Like you are dropping a weight on them.
Exactly. It triggers an immediate obligation for them to fix your problem or offer profound comfort. By hedging, by softening the emotion, you allow the listener to engage with you safely. You are saying, "I am experiencing negative feelings, but you do not need to panic. I am still functioning."
This is exactly the contradiction I am talking about.
Mhm.
Is it not wild that English has all these vivid, explosive idioms like blow your top or hit the roof, but at the very same time, we use hedging to soften our actual real-time feelings?
It's quite the contrast.
It is like we want the cinematic drama of the metaphor, but the safety of the polite buffer. We want it both ways.
That is a brilliant observation, and you are absolutely right. It is a paradox, but it is a highly functional one. The metaphor provides the color and the specific texture of the emotion. It lets you express the type of feeling perfectly, but the hedge provides the social safety net.
Right.
Saying "I was a little down in the dumps" uses the dramatic 16th century fog metaphor, but the words a little signal that you are not demanding an immediate rescue mission from your friend.
It is a delicate dance of expressing your authentic self while simultaneously protecting the psychological space of the person you are talking to. It also shows up when we navigate conflicting emotions, right?
Yes, the concept of ambivalence, expressions like "I have mixed feelings about this" or "I am torn."
Those are incredibly useful. It shows a high level of linguistic maturity to look at a situation and say, well, I am not entirely happy, and I am not entirely upset. I am sitting right in the middle, and I have mixed feelings. It invites conversation rather than shutting it down.
Precisely. And the key to making these phrases work is delivering them with a natural cadence.
Which means it is time for our first shadowing round. So we're going to practice the rhythm of these emotional expressions. Remember, I will say the phrase slowly and clearly and leave a pause for you, the listener, to repeat it out loud. Focus on the smooth delivery. Let us begin.
I am over the moon. I am feeling a bit blue today. I have mixed feelings about this. I am a bit under the weather. Fantastic. Now, as we transition, let us look at the bigger picture. We just talked about the internal friction of feeling anxious or having butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah.
Well, nothing triggers those exact butterflies quite like realizing you have to ask a busy person for their time, or worse, realizing you have to cancel a crucial meeting. Navigating that external social friction requires a whole new set of linguistic tools. Which brings us to our second situation, proposals and scheduling, covering expressions 41 through 80. Time is arguably our most valuable non-renewable resource, and the way a specific culture schedules, negotiates, and cancels time tells you everything you need to know about its underlying value.
That is so true.
In English-speaking cultures, the management of appointments is deeply governed by a linguistic framework known as politeness theory.
Politeness theory. I love this concept. Let us look at the phrases for initiating meeting. We have expressions like, can we schedule a meeting? Are you available for a meeting? I would like to make an appointment. Does next Wednesday suit you? And what time works best for you?
All very standard.
Right. But the grammar here is telling a very specific story. If I want to meet my colleague on Wednesday, why do I not just email them and say, I will see you on Wednesday at 2 p.m.? It is efficient. It is clear. Why do I have to phrase it as a question, like does next Wednesday suit you?
Because efficiency is often the enemy of politeness. Politeness theory, which was developed by linguists Penelope Brown and Stephen Levinson, revolves around the concept of face.
Face.
Okay. Everyone has a positive face, which is the desire to be liked and approved of, and a negative face, which is the desire to be autonomous and not imposed upon. When you say, I will see you on Wednesday at 2 p.m., you are severely threatening their negative face.
You are dictating their schedule.
Exactly. You are imposing your will on their time. You are acting as a dictator.
So by asking, does next Wednesday suit you? I am giving them the illusion of total control.
It is not just an illusion, it is a genuine transfer of agency. You are proposing a parameter, but you are leaving the final door unlocked. You are saying, I value your autonomy more than I value my own convenience. This is called negative politeness.
That is fascinating.
We soften our requests with modal verbs like can, could, would. Notice we say, I would like to make an appointment, not I want an appointment.
That makes so much sense. We also use collaborative phrases to confirm these plans. We say, let us touch base next week, or I will mark it in my calendar. But the real test of negative politeness is not making the plan. The real test, the moment of high social anxiety, is breaking the plan. Expressions 61 through 80 deal entirely with rescheduling and canceling.
This is where negative politeness goes into overdrive. When you cancel a meeting, you are technically committing a social offense. You have wasted the time they spent organizing it, and you are creating new work for them to reschedule it.
So how do we mitigate that offense?
Through softening apologies and indirect framing. An English speaker will rarely say, I cannot meet you tomorrow. They will say, I am afraid I have to cancel, or would it be possible to move our meeting? Or can we reschedule?
Let us look closely at I am afraid I have to cancel. I find this phrase fascinating because you are not actually experiencing fear. You're not shivering in terror at the thought of canceling a coffee date. What is I am afraid actually doing in that sentence?
It acts as a polite marker of regret. It essentially translates to, I deeply regret to inform you. By claiming a state of mild emotional distress, fear or apprehension about the cancellation, you are demonstrating to the other person that you do not take the cancellation lightly.
Right.
You are showing that you respect their time enough to feel bad about disrupting it.
It is brilliant social engineering. If you need to change the time, you propose it gently, like, let us push back the meeting, which means delaying it to a later time, or can we bring forward the start, which means moving it earlier. And if you genuinely have no space in your calendar, you say, I am all booked up, or I am running a tight schedule.
Those are very common in the workplace.
But out of all the expressions in this section, I want to shine a massive spotlight on expression number 61. Something has come up.
Ah, yes, something has come up. It is perhaps the most heavily utilized phrase in the modern professional repertoire.
It is absolute genius. It is the ultimate social get-out-of-jail-free card. Think about what happens when you have to cancel a plan. Maybe your car would not start. Maybe you spilled coffee all over your only clean shirt. Maybe you had a sudden, very unglamorous stomach issue. Or maybe you just woke up and realized you desperately need a mental health day on your couch.
We have all been there.
If you explain those real reasons, it creates awkwardness. It forces the other person to comfort you, or worse, to judge your time management. But if you simply say, I am so sorry, but something has come up, it provides a perfectly professional, universally acceptable justification that requires zero explanation. It acts as an impenetrable shield for your privacy.
What makes it linguistically fascinating is the complete removal of agency. When you say something has come up, you are positioning yourself as a victim of circumstance.
Right, it's not your fault.
Exactly. An unknown, unnamed entity, something, has actively come up and blocked your path. It implies that the event was entirely out of your control. You did not choose to cancel, the universe forced you to. This preserves your face, removes the blame from your shoulders, and protects the relationship.
And to fully repair the relationship after using that shield, you can follow it up with another classic phrase. Can I take a rain check?
Rain check is a wonderful American idiom. It originated in baseball in the late 1800s. If a game was canceled due to rain, the stadium would literally give ticket holders a paper rain check, guaranteeing them admission to a future game.
So when you say, can I take a rain check, to a friend, you are saying, I cannot attend this event right now, but I am legally, socially committing to doing this with you in the future. It is a promise that the cancellation is not a rejection of the friendship.
It reassures them that their positive face, their desire to be liked by you, is still entirely intact.
Let us practice that delicate negotiation. It is time for shadowing round 2. Listen closely to the rhythm and the polite, gentle intonation of these phrases. Repeat during the pause. Does next Wednesday suit you? What time works best for you? Something has come up. Can we reschedule our meeting?
Excellent. Now, let us assume your scheduling was successful. You navigated the negative politeness, you found a time, and now you are actually sitting down face to face with this person.
Usually over coffee or lunch.
Exactly. More often than not, this meeting is going to happen over food. And that brings us to situation 3, restaurant and cafe expressions, covering numbers 81 through 120.
Dining out in an English-speaking environment is a highly ritualized social interaction. The relationship between the diner and the service staff is mediated by very specific, polite formulas. If scheduling a meeting is a negotiation, ordering a meal is a script.
A literal script.
Yes, and if you do not know the script, things get awkward very quickly. Let us walk through the chronological script. Expressions 81 to 100 cover the arrival. You walk through the doors and approach the host stand. You say, "I would like to make a reservation," or, if you already have one, "a table for 4, please." If the lobby is crowded, you ask, "Is there a wait?"
If you are in a more casual environment, like a cafe or a fast casual restaurant, the very first question you will encounter from the cashier is a rapid fire, for here or to go. They are asking if you intend to consume the food on the premises for here or take the food away with you to go.
Once you are seated, navigating the menu is all about polite inquiry. You might ask the server, "What do you recommend?" Or, "Is this dish spicy?" But here is where we hit a critical cultural checkpoint. Dietary restriction.
Very important.
Expressions like, "I'm allergic to nuts. Do you have any vegetarian options?" Or, "Does this contain dairy?" are absolutely vital.
They are vital because in many English-speaking countries, particularly in North America and the UK, food allergies are treated as potential medical emergencies by restaurant staff. The culture around dietary needs has shifted massively over the last 2 decades.
It is not a joke anymore.
Not at all. It is not seen as an imposition to state your allergy, it is expected. If you say, "I am severely allergic to shellfish," the kitchen staff will often change their gloves, use separate cutting boards, and follow strict cross-contamination protocols. It is a very serious operational procedure.
So you must be vocal, but you still must be polite. Which brings us to the core mechanic of ordering. I want to highlight a massive sociolinguistic leap that learners have to make here.
This is a big one.
When we first learn English in a classroom, we're taught the verb to want. I want a car. I want an apple. I want a sandwich. But if you sit down in a restaurant and look at the waiter and say, "I want a sandwich," it feels incredibly jarring.
It sounds abrasive. It sounds demanding, almost like a toddler throwing a tantrum. In the context of hospitality, "I want" implies a unilateral demand. It ignores the human dynamic of the transaction.
So how do we fix it?
We shift from a demand to a conditional request or a statement of future intent. Instead of "I want," a native speaker will say, "Can I have the sandwich, please? Could I get the salad? Or I will have the steak."
I will have, short for I will have.
Exactly. It softens the request into a collaborative process. It treats the service staff as partners in your dining experience rather than servants executing a command.
This principle of polite collaboration becomes essential when we move to expressions 101 to 120, which are all about modifying and customizing the order.
The customization phase?
You hear phrases like, "Can I add bacon to that? I would like the dressing on the side. Can I get this without onions? I would like it with almond milk and no whipped cream, please." I actually have an analogy for this.
Oh, I would love to hear it.
Because customizing a drink at an American coffee shop is a unique linguistic challenge.
Oh, absolutely. It really is.
Ordering something like, "I will have a grande iced vanilla latte with oat milk and an extra shot." It is exactly like building a linguistic Lego set.
A Lego set. Okay, walk me through the Lego bricks.
Okay, think about it. Every single modifier is a specific Lego brick, and it has a dedicated slot where it must be snapped into place.
Right.
First, you lay down the foundation block, the size, grande.
Quant.
Next, you snap on the temperature block,
Yeah.
iced.
Based.
Then the flavor block,
Vanilla.
vanilla. Then the core structure, the base drink, latte.
Yeah.
Finally, you add the specialized modification blocks at the very end, with oat milk and an extra shot.
Oh, I see it.
Grande, iced, vanilla, latte, with oat milk and an extra shot. If you take those exact same Lego bricks and snap them together in the wrong order,
Right.
if you walk up to the barista and say, "I will have an oat milk extra shot, iced latte, vanilla grande," you will short-circuit their brain.
You really will. They will just stare at you.
All the information is there, but because the linguistic Lego bricks are stacked incorrectly, it sounds chaotic. But when you know the exact order to snap them together, you instantly sound like a local. The rhythm just flows.
The reason that specific order exists is tied to English adjective ordering rules. Quantity opinion, size, physical quality, shape, age, color, origin, material, type, purpose. It is an unconscious rule native speakers follow.
Okay.
By placing size and temperature first, you allow the barista to grab the correct physical cup, then flavor, then milk type. The linguistic structure mirrors the physical workflow of making the coffee.
That is fascinating. The language matches the manual labor. Now, what happens if the Lego set gets built wrong? If your food arrives and it is incorrect?
You must raise an issue, but again with negative politeness. You never snap your fingers or yell waiter across the room. You make eye contact, raise your hand slightly, and say, "Excuse me."
And when they arrive, you do not say, "You made a mistake." You use a brilliant passive phrase, "This is not what I ordered."
Notice how "this is not what I ordered" removes the blame from the server. You are not saying you wrote down the wrong thing. You are simply stating a factual discrepancy between the plate on the table and your original request. It allows the server to apologize and fix it without feeling personally attacked.
Finally, we reach the conclusion of the meal, the payment phase, the dance of the bill. You get the server's attention and say, "Can we get the check, please?" You might need to clarify logistics. Do you take credit cards?
It's always good to ask.
If you are dining with colleagues, you have to decide how to handle the total. You might say to the waiter, "We would like to pay separately." Or to your group, "Let us split the bill."
Splitting the bill usually implies dividing the total cost evenly down the middle, regardless of who ordered what, which is a common practice to avoid tedious math at the end of a friendly dinner.
But if you want to be generous, you make a sweeping gesture and say, "I will get this," or "This is on me." And if you are paying with physical cash and the remaining change represents an appropriate tip for the service, you simply hand them the billfold and say, "Keep the change."
Keep the change is a wonderful dual-purpose phrase. It is a marker of financial generosity, but it also serves as an efficient, decisive conclusion to the social transaction. It formally ends the interaction.
Let us practice that efficient conclusion. It is time for shadowing round 3. Stand tall, channel your inner polite but confident diner, and repeat after me. "I would like to make a reservation. Can I get the dressing on the side? Can we get the check, please? Let us split the bill." Great job. Navigating a menu and a waiter with that level of precision and politeness is actually fantastic practice for what is arguably the most high-stakes, heavily scripted environment of all. Welcome to Situation 4, Workplace and Business.
The professional domain, covering expressions 121 through 160. If the restaurant is about hospitality, the workplace is about hierarchy, workflow, and productivity. The pragmatics of business English are entirely designed to manage information flow while simultaneously preserving corporate egos.
Let us look at how we orchestrate meetings. You are sitting at a conference table. It is 2 minutes past 10. People are chatting. You are the leader. You do not just slam your hand on the desk and yell, "Start." You use a transitional question. "Shall we get started?"
Again, it is an illusion of consensus. You are the leader, the meeting is starting, but by asking, "Shall we?" you are formally inviting the room to transition their attention toward you.
Once you have their attention, you provide the roadmap. Let us go over the agenda. You establish the goal immediately. The aim of today's meeting is, during the meeting, you actively invite collaboration by asking, "Does anyone have any suggestions?"
Right.
If someone introduces a complex data point, you do not say, "I do not understand." You say, "Could you clarify that?" But here is a scenario everyone knows too well. You are in a meeting to discuss the Q3 budget, and suddenly Bob from marketing starts going on a massive 10-minute tangent about the new color scheme for the company logo.
Oh, classic Bob.
It has nothing to do with the budget. How do you stop Bob without insulting him in front of everyone?
You start with a gentle course correction. We are getting off topic. But the truly masterful phrase to use here is, "Let us park that for now."
Let us park that for now. I love the visualization of this idiom. Think about what a parking lot is. The meeting is a fast-moving highway. Bob's idea about the logo color is a rogue vehicle that has swerved onto your highway and is slowing down traffic.
Perfect analogy.
By saying, "Let us park that," you are not destroying Bob's vehicle. You are not saying his idea is bad. You are metaphorically validating his idea by giving it a designated, safe parking space off to the side of the road. You acknowledge his contribution, ensure it is not lost, but firmly remove it from the current traffic flow so the meeting can proceed.
It is brilliant face-saving management. At the end of the meeting, you ensure accountability by saying, "Let us set some action items." And if you need to physically or virtually pass the presentation to a colleague, you use the formal transition. "I would like to hand it over to Sarah."
The same careful curation of tone applies to written communication. Let us talk about emails. The internet is a cold, tone-deaf medium. If I just email my boss and say, "Where is the report?" it sounds hostile. So we use textual buffers.
We really do.
We open with the classic, "I hope this email finds you well." We state our purpose formally, "I am writing to inquire about." And when we include a document, we use the scopal phrase, "Please find attach."
Think of "I hope this email finds you well" as the digital equivalent of knocking on someone's office door before turning the handle. You do not just barge into their digital space demanding resources. You offer a brief, polite acknowledgement of their humanity first.
This brings us to expressions 141 through 160, the dense jungle of business idioms and corporate jargon. If you work in an English-speaking office, these phrases are the air you breathe.
They are everywhere.
This is just a quick reminder. I would like to bring to your attention we are on the same page. Keep me in the loop. Do not cut corners. What is the bottom line? Hit the nail on the head.
What is crucial here is understanding how these idioms allow colleagues to give feedback or correct behavior without triggering defensiveness. Let us analyze a very specific scenario.
Okay, lay it on me.
You are in a meeting, and two colleagues, Mark and David, begin to argue heatedly over a software feature. The tension is rising. The rest of the room is uncomfortable. As the manager, you step in and say, "Let us take this offline."
Let us take this offline. It sounds like we are unplugging a computer.
Historically, yes, it originates from early computing, meaning to disconnect a terminal from the main network. But pragmatically, in a modern office, it means, "Let us discuss this privately, outside of this current meeting."
Right.
However, its true function is conflict resolution. By suggesting they take it offline, the manager is providing a polite, face-saving escape hatch. It shuts down a heated public argument without making Mark or David feel like they have been scolded like children in front of their peers. It preserves the dignity of everyone in the room.
Okay, I have to jump in here and question something about Western corporate culture. Looking at this list of phrases, there is a staggering reliance on sports metaphors.
There really is.
Let us get the ball rolling. The ball is in your court. Let us touch base. It is a win-win situation. Why? Why do we use so many sports idioms? Is it because modern capitalism fundamentally treats office work like a competitive team sport?
You have hit the nail on the head. The underlying conceptual metaphor in Western business culture is almost always path. Business is a sport, or occasionally business is war.
Business is a sport.
These idioms reflect a corporate culture that places the highest value on strategy, turn-taking, competition, and tactical teamwork. Think about tennis. If you hit the ball over the net, you literally cannot do anything else until the other player hits it back.
That makes total sense.
So when you finish your part of a project and hand it to a colleague, saying the ball is in your court perfectly encapsulates the reality that it is now their turn to make a strategic move. You are waiting on them.
It makes business feel like an active physical game. But eventually, the game has to end for the day. When all the strategic moves are done, when the action items are set, you use my absolute favorite idiom on this entire list. Let us call it a day.
It is a universally welcomed phrase. It means the work is finished, and it is time to transition back into our personal lives.
Let us practice some of this corporate diplomacy before we clock out. It is time for shadowing round 4. Picture yourself at the head of a mahogany conference table and repeat these phrases with professional authority. Shall we get started? Let us park that for now. Please keep me in the loop. Let us take this offline. You are doing phenomenally well. Now, after you call it a day at the office, you shut your laptop, you walk out of the building, and you actually have to navigate the physical world to get home or go out for the evening. And inevitably, at some point, you or someone around you will get lost.
It happens to all of us.
This brings us to our final category, Situation 5. Directions and navigation, covering expressions 161 to 200.
The ability to ask for, understand, and give directions is a fundamental human survival skill. But in English, directional language is this fascinating, complex blend of strict spatial logic and intense social politeness.
Let us start with pedestrian navigation, walking around a busy city. When you need to stop someone on the sidewalk, you do not just walk up and say, "Where is the station?" You absolutely must use a politeness header.
It is required.
Expressions 161 to 170 highlight this perfectly. Excuse me, where is the station? Pardon me, how can I get to the city center? Or am I on the right road for the museum? Why are these headers, pardon me, sorry to bother you, so rigidly mandatory?
Because asking a stranger for directions is fundamentally an interruption. When someone is walking down a city street, they have a trajectory, they have a destination. There is an unspoken social contract in urban environments that we leave strangers alone to pursue their trajectory.
Everyone is in their own bubble.
Exactly. When you ask for directions, you are breaking that social contract. You are hijacking their time and their cognitive energy. The politeness header, functions as a preemptive apology for the intrusion. It signals that you recognize you are breaking the rules, but you are doing so out of necessity.
It is the ultimate display of respecting their negative face. Once you have successfully interrupted them, the answers they give you rely on what linguists sometimes call Cartesian logic combined with spatial anchoring. Walk me through the logic of that.
Cartesian logic refers to the simple, grid-like geometric plane. Go straight ahead, turn left, turn right. It relies on the x and y axes of the streets.
Right, a simple grid.
But humans are not robots. We do not just process grids well. So English speakers rely heavily on spatial anchors or verifiers.
Verifiers, like landmarks.
Exactly. You will rarely hear someone just say, take the second right and go straight. You will hear, go straight ahead, turn left at the traffic lights, take the second right, it is next to the bank, cross the street at the sign.
Okay, I see.
The traffic lights, the bank, the sign, these are the verifiers. They are crucial psychological checkpoints. As the lost person walks, seeing the bank confirms to them that they correctly understood the instruction. It relieves their anxiety and verifies they are still on the right path.
And if you are navigating a vehicle, expressions 181 to 200 introduce a slightly different vocabulary. You hear things like, take the first exit, go through the tunnel, make a U-turn, stop at the next corner, or the phrase that induces pure panic, you are going the wrong way.
Driving directions tend to prioritize clarity and standardized terminology over casual landmarks, simply for the sake of safety. You will hear intersection or roundabout. It is between the bank and the store. Go up the hill. Slow down, please. Where should I get off?
And of course, there's always the possibility that the person you stop on the street is just as lost as you are. In that case, they will use a polite refusal. I am sorry, I cannot help you, or I am not from around here.
Which is perfectly acceptable.
But looking at this list, I have to stop and talk about expression number 180.
Let me guess. You cannot miss it.
Yes, you cannot miss it. The most famous navigational idiom of all. I honestly laugh out loud every time I hear someone say this. Just go past the post office, take a left at the weird tree, and it is right there. You cannot miss it.
Oh, that is so true. It is a classic.
It operates as this massive, sweeping promise of confidence. But in my lived experience, you cannot miss it. It is a universal lie. It is almost exclusively used right before someone gives you a highly convoluted, confusing set of instructions where you will almost certainly miss the destination entirely. Why do we say this? What is the psychology behind telling someone they cannot miss something that is clearly difficult to find?
It is a wonderful irony of human behavior. The psychology behind you cannot miss it actually stems from the anxiety of the direction giver, not the person asking.
Wait, really? The person giving the directions is anxious.
Absolutely. When you ask a stranger for directions, they feel a sudden social pressure to perform, to be helpful, and to solve your problem. If they give you a long, complicated list of terms, they can sense your confusion growing. Saying you cannot miss it is their way of artificially resolving the tension.
Oh.
It is meant to reassure you, to lower your anxiety about being lost, but mostly it provides the direction giver with a sense of closure so they can walk away feeling like they successfully helped you.
That is so deeply human. They are comforting themselves as much as they are comforting you. Do not worry, you cannot miss it. Now I'm going to walk away and hope for the best.
Precisely. It is a sign of goodwill, even if it precedes a navigational disaster.
Let us practice these crucial street-level phrases. It is time for our fifth and final shadowing round. Speak clearly and confidently. Here we go. Excuse me, how can I get to the city center? Turn left at the traffic lights. It is just around the corner. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Outstanding work. We have covered a truly tremendous amount of ground in this session.
We really have. If we take a step back and synthesize everything we have explored today, from the 16th century fog of our emotions to the negative politeness of scheduling.
From the Lego set logic of the coffee shop to the face-saving maneuvers of the boardroom.
And finally, to the psychological reassurances of giving directions. What we arrive at is profound. Mastering these 200 expressions is not about memorizing a dictionary. It is not about passing a multiple-choice grammar test.
No, not at all. It is about acquiring true, actionable, pragmatic competence.
It is learning the invisible social grease that makes daily life function. It is understanding exactly when to soften a heavy emotion so you do not overwhelm a friend. It is knowing how to gently negotiate time so you respect a colleague's autonomy.
Exactly.
It is mastering the collaborative script of the restaurant, the strategic diplomacy of the workplace, and the polite apologies required to navigate a crowded city.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder as you go about your day. Language is ultimately a social contract.
A social contract. Yes.
When you learn a new expression, when you consciously choose to say, let us take this offline instead of stop talking, or when you say, could I have the latte instead of I want coffee, you are not just learning a new combination of vowels and consonants. You are actively learning how an entire culture perceives politeness, values time, processes emotion, and organizes space.
That is a beautiful and accurate way to frame it. You are stepping into a new cultural reality.
So the question I want you to chew on is this. How might adopting these English phrases slightly shift the way you perceive your own daily interactions?
That is a great question.
When you start using hedging words, does it actually make you feel more empathetic and careful with other people's feelings? When you use sports metaphors in a business meeting, does it physically make you feel more strategic, more alert? The language we use does not just describe the world we walk through. It actively shapes the reality of that world.
Remember that medical x-ray machine we talked about at the very beginning of our conversation? The one that is totally broken when it comes to the messy reality of human communication.
The diagnostic muddy water.
Exactly. What you realize as you build pragmatic competence is that you do not actually need a perfect clinical x-ray to navigate those waters. You do not need a binary read on human behavior. You just need the right compass. And these 200 expressions, with all their history, their politeness, and their hidden logic, are your compass.
We are so incredibly proud of the work and the focus you put in today. Learning a language, truly stepping outside your linguistic comfort zone, is an act of immense bravery. Putting yourself out there in the real world is brave.
It absolutely is.
We want to encourage you to take just a handful of these phrases out into the wild tomorrow. Go order that morning coffee like you are snapping together a master-level Lego set. Soften a frustrating emotion with a gentle hedge. If someone asks for your time and you do not have it, confidently tell them something has come up. Practice your pragmatic competence with pride.
You have the tools now. Trust yourself to use them.
Thank you so much for exploring these diagnostic muddy waters with us today. Keep practicing, keep speaking out loud, and keep diving deep into the weird, wonderful world of language. We will be right here with you next time.